Hi friends. Okay, so chicken and dumplings won out by a big margin. So I'm gonna make chicken dumplings today. So I'm gonna show you how to make chicken dumplings basically from scratch because I'm gonna use everything that I have here in my kitchen. What I've got here on the stove is a pot of water, and I'm gonna add some celery and carrots. Now listen, these are not gonna be in our chicken and dumplings. This is just going to flavor our broth. It's going to make our broth for our chicken and dumplings. Now listen, if you don't have time to make your own broth, just buy you some boxes of chicken broth. That works too. We're trying to do stuff that everybody can do. So you're going to use the ingredients that you have. I'm using the ingredients that I have. So I'm going to drop that celery and carrots in there. And then I've got a whole chicken here. And I'm going to drop her right down in there. I almost overfilled her. And then I'm going to put some spices in here. So here's what we want. We're going to add a little poultry seasoning. Oh, a lot of poultry seasoning. We're going to add some onion powder. We want to really make that broth taste really good if you're making your own broth. We've got some thyme. Now this is garlic powder and it's not thyme. I've got some thyme right there. And then we're going to use a little bit of pepper and a little salt. And we're going to let that chicken cook. Now listen, if you don't have time to cook your own chicken, it's okay. Buy your rotisserie chicken from the store. That pepper right there. Buy your rotisserie chicken from the store. It'll work the same way. It'll taste delicious. I'm working with what I've got, and I'm trying to show you how to do it from scratch. But I'm going to give you little tips along the way for if you don't have time to do this, because everybody doesn't have time. You can buy rotisserie chicken and a couple boxes of chicken broth because I'm making quite a bit of chicken broth here. So we'll be back when that chicken's done. Okay, so as you can see here, our chicken is done. Oh, I don't know if I can lift that whole thing out, but it is so tender that it's falling apart. Look at that. Now what we've got left in here is our carrots and celery and our chicken broth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strain that. Okay, so I've strained the carrots and the celery out, and I've got the chicken out, and it's going to cool so that I can shred it. But what I'm left with is this beautiful chicken broth, y'all. Look at this. Oh, I'm being a little messy. Now listen, I'm not going to use all of it for the chicken and dumplings because I don't need the gigantic pot of chicken and dumplings. So I will put this in a quart jar, and I've got chicken stock now for anything else that I need. Okay, y'all. I've got my chicken broth in here, and I have shredded up just by hand my whole chicken that I had. And I'm going to drop that in the broth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a jar of my homemade cream of chicken soup. Now, this would be the equivalent of probably 2 cans of cream of chicken soup if you buy it in the store. And that's fine. That works too. So I'm going to put that in. And I'll do a better job of cleaning out this jar when y'all aren't looking. I like to do all that when you guys aren't looking. I'm just going to stir this up real good and let that simmer for about half an hour. Okay, y'all. Now, since I added that whole jar of... you can't see me spilling this stuff. Since I added that whole jar of cream of chicken soup, I'm going to add about a cup of milk. Now, this is just whole milk. You can use a can of evaporated milk. You can use any kind of milk you got. You can use heavy cream. It doesn't really matter. But my cream of chicken soup is very thick, so it needs a little bit of milk to go with it. So I'm going to let that now simmer for just a few minutes. All right, y'all. While that chicken and broth simmers, we're going to make our dumplings because it's going to be ready before we turn around. I've got 2 cups of flour. All-purpose flour. Doesn't matter what you use. Flour. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And this is going to just make them fluffy. I know y'all are probably like, this is the longest video in the world. We're gonna add a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of salt, 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Butter, y'all, you gotta have some butter. And y'all know me and my buttermilk. We're gonna do a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Because, you know, dumplings are very similar to biscuits, and we're going to do the drop method in this. So we're not going to roll these out and cut them. That takes a lot of time. We could do that, but we're not going to. We're just making old-fashioned dumplings. They taste the same. We're going to do the drop method, which is just going to make it a lot easier. Now, all we're going to do here is just mix this together. We'll mix that up just like we were mixing biscuits. You can add thyme, garlic, whatever you want to this. I added garlic and thyme in my broth, and I can smell it, so I don't feel like I need that in my biscuits. And then we're just gonna go over here, and I'm gonna turn that up just a little bit to get a little bit hotter, because we want just not a boil, but a really hot broth to drop these in. Okay, so I just wanna show y'all this broth. It's not real thick, but it is thicker than just like a chicken broth. You don't want it too thick, because your dumplings are going to thicken that up. So now we're just waiting for that to come up to just a really low boil. Okay, y'all, we've got those that up to right about where we want it. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to drop these. It's called the drop method. We're just going to spoon them and drop them right in that hot liquid. And I kind of just try to make them a circle. It doesn't have to be. And you can make them however big you want, small you want, doesn't matter. We're just dropping them in that hot liquid. I'll make a couple big ones. I mostly make them about a spoon size and drop in that hot liquid. So good. Okay, so I want y'all to see what that looks like before I put the lid on it. Now we're going to put the lid on that, and we're going to leave it for about 15 minutes. We're going to let it cook. Now listen, y'all, you don't want to take the lid off this, because we're basically steaming those dumplings. And then when you take the lid off, you're going to release the steam. Let's not do that. We're going to do 15 minutes. Okay, friends, I've got my chicken dumplings here. Now listen, some people drop a drop of yellow food coloring in their chicken dumplings to make them real yellow. I think that's gross. I don't do that. So mine just look at that. Look at those chicken dumplings, y'all. I added a little bit of pepper on top. Oh, it's very good. It's very good. It's creamy. Look at that. It's still hot. Y'all, thank you for bearing with me through a really long video, but the result is worth it. Bye now.